I've generated over 200,000 leads on Facebook ads. Now, but what I'm excited to show you is here, I actually running right now a campaign which is costing me 50 cents per lead, and I already generated over 2,000 leads. And these aren't really bad leads. If I look here at return, these leads are already giving me a return of about 12.6x in this month alone. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Philip. I help business owners and entrepreneurs build client acquisition systems. So in this video, I want to break down how we're doing this to get leads for this cheap. Now, so the first thing you need when it comes to running cheap Facebook ads and cheap leads on Facebook ads is understanding the funnel. So basically, what you're gonna have is something that looks like this. So you're gonna be reaching accounts. Then you're gonna be turning those accounts into visitors, and then you're gonna be turning those visitors into leads, and ideally turning those leads into clients. So you really have four main steps here when it comes to getting leads on Facebook ads and getting clients. If you want to get cheap leads on Facebook ads, you need to understand your entire funnel and need to understand what you can actually do to reduce your costs. So let's start with the reach. Now, here, when you look at reach, you're gonna be looking at metrics like your reach, the amount of impressions you guessed, your CPM, your CTRs, and your unique link links. Now, those unique link links are going to be people that are going to be clicking on your ads and going into your landing page views. They're going to be going into the next step. They're going to be submitting a form. Now, here, there are really two metrics that you can play with. And those are your CPMs and your CTRs. Now, your CPMs are basically defining your cost per 1,000 impressions. And those are typically your overall costs to advertise, which are set by Facebook. Now, there are ways to decrease your CPM, but typically your CPMs are going to be defined by your audience, your target audience, the markets that you're advertising, your ad quality. Those are really going to be the three main drivers you're going to be seeing when it comes to CPMs. It's going to be your markets, your target audiences, and your ad quality or account quality, depending on this. Now, what you can do here is number one. So let's change this here. So number one is going to be your targets. Depending on the target, your CPMs are going to be higher or cheaper. Now, if you're using, for example, a B2C business, you're much likely going to have a much lower CPM than if you want to target, for example, SaaS business owners, right? SaaS is typically one of the most expensive markets that you want to reach. So depending on who is your ideal client, that's going to be defining your CPM, but also that combined with your market. So US expensive, but if you go to Europe, Canada, Australia, there are different markets that can still give you good returns at much cheaper costs. So here, the combination that you need to make sure is you have a target that is relevant to you. You need to make sure that is obviously aligned with your business, but also explore different markets that might give you a lower CPM. So for example, if you can expand your business, if you can attract leads, for example, in Europe, that's going to be an easy way for you to get higher quality leads too, but at a much lower cost than, for example, if you're in the US. And oftentimes we see business owners just really sidelining the other markets and really focusing on, for example, the US, when obviously your business, you might just be want to focusing on the US, but sometimes if you have a product that can be sold internationally, if you have the structure for that, then different markets will give you different opportunities and sometimes at much lower costs. When it comes to targeting, it's really about making sure that on your media buying size, you're actually targeting the right people. But oftentimes, so if you go broad, it's going to be an easy way for you to reduce your costs. But again, you need to make sure that it's aligned with your business. So I find sometimes when it comes to targeting to be a little bit harder to actually reduce our costs, depending on the business that I'm working for. If I can broaden the targeting a bit, if I can expand it a bit and keep the ad quality, that's going to be great. But oftentimes, if you have a specific audience, or if you're already targeting relatively broad, your CPMs, you might not be able to control this that much, because it's just something that is based on supply and demand. So if you can focus on different markets, that's going to be an option. If you can try a broader target that will give you a good cost, that's going to be an option. And the third thing is going to be your quality. And here, when it comes to quality, you can actually check on your ads the quality ranking of your ads. So if you have ads that are below average, if you have ads that just aren't relevant, that's going to lead you to higher CPMs. So typically, the better your ads are, the higher quality they are, then the more likely it is for you to actually have lower CPMs, because Facebook thinks, okay, these ads are actually good, they're more native, and they will serve your ads at a lower cost than if you have something which people just aren't engaging with, and Facebook just wants to penalize you to advertise because your ads just aren't good enough. So targeting markets and quality are going to be really the three main things that you can play with to try to reduce your CPMs. But to be honest, typically in most cases, this is going to be something which is really not that easy to scale unless you really focus on your ads. And the beauty of the ads is that you're going to be affecting here your CTR. So here, when it comes to CTR, it's basically just your ads. What you want to focus on is basically just making sure that you have good enough ads and they are having a good click rate to get them to the next step. So typically anywhere between 1 to 2% for link click rate is going to be good. Ideally between 1.5 to 2. Those are going to be perfect. If you can get even higher, that's amazing. But that 1.5 to 2% is typically a good range. And that's going to be where basically you can spend a lot of time and effort in basically just trying to create different ads, creating different variations, doing creative testing to improve your CTRs and making sure that you're getting as much people to the next step as possible. Now, the one caveat of this is that you need to make sure that the people you actually send on the next step are qualified. Because if you create an ad that has a very high CTR, but it has nothing to do with your product or service, then okay, you might get a lot of clicks, you might get a lot of visitors, but then they're not going to be converting because once they get to the landing page, what you're offering them has nothing to do with what they want. So making sure that you have good ads and you have a good CTR is going to be really important in terms of reducing your costs. But again, make sure that whatever you're doing is aligned with your business. And once you have these two things, so obviously when you have a low CPM and a high CTR, that's already going to allow you to have a lot of page views at a relatively low cost. And that's going to be the next step here. So you get the reach, you get the people, and then you take them to visitors to visit your site to go to your steps. And here you might be using different funnels. So in this case, we're actually running this to a web page, which is typically not even the lower cost option. So if you're running, for example, Facebook lead forms or instant forms, those are typically much lower costs because they're going to keeping the leads, the people in the app. They don't have to go to a landing page view, so it typically has much lower cost than actually sending people to a landing page. But in this case, we're actually sending it to a landing page, and it's actually converting really, really well. And in this case, it makes sense for us. But that's another option for you, and we'll discuss this in a bit. So basically, when we go to the next step, what you're going to have is you're going to have landing page views. You're going to have your cost per landing page view. You're going to have your conversion rate on a landing page view, and then that's going to get you the leads and the cost per lead. So here is really where the magic is happening. So your CTRs and your CPMs on the first step allow you to get here a lot of landing page views at a relatively low cost, right? So you see here, or 3,400 landing page views at a cost per page view at 39 cents. But now the really critical thing here is the landing page conversion view. So how are you actually converting the traffic that gets here on the landing page views? In this case, the reason why we get such low costs is because our page is converting at almost 79% of page views. So from about 100 people that get into that page and view the page, then about 80 are signing up for leads, which is allowing us to get this insane cost per lead, right? Now, what can you do to actually replicate the results? This is probably the hardest part, right? Obviously, is you need to make sure that you're optimizing the conversions on your page. So obviously, just right here. So optimizing the conversions. Now, depending on your funnels, there are different things that you can run to test different variations. So obviously, if you go for testing different headlines, you can test different offers. And even different lead magnets. And different lead magnets. And the idea here is you need to figure out how you can actually improve your conversions on your forms as much as you possibly can. If you're using a landing page, it's going to be a lot about making sure that you're running a proper funnel and making sure that you test it to make sure that it's optimized as possible. So obviously something that is typically more appealing to a lot more people is going to convert at higher. If you have something that is very specific, your conversions might be lower, but it's figuring out what works for you and what works for business. Because if you have, for example, a SaaS business, then you're not going to be able to attract leads for SaaS entrepreneurs at 50 cents. It's just not going to happen. So depending on your market, you're obviously not going to be able to achieve always these kind of results. But the idea is once you understand the metrics, once you understand the steps that you need to take, it will allow you to reduce the costs. Another really good option is, again, like I was mentioning, is using lead forms, Facebook lead forms. Now, Facebook lead forms, you have probably seen those, are those forms where basically instead of taking you to a landing page, you fill out the details directly on Facebook or Instagram. And those are typically going to be much lower costs. They're generally not as qualified as someone who goes to a landing page view, because again, they didn't do as many steps, they didn't really go through into the entire funnel. Is they just go in, they have a short headline, a short description, you put them their name, the email address, maybe their phone number, maybe you have a few questions, but it's going to be a very less friction, which is going to allow you to have lower costs. And especially if you're starting, it can be a very good way for you to get a lot of volume on your ads, because you're just going to be getting a lot more leads at a relatively lower cost, and then you just need to make sure that you follow up with them. And once you break it down to it, it's pretty easy. So if you want to run cheap Facebook ads, what you need to make sure is, one, you have to lower your overall costs on CPM. So target, market, and quality. You need to make sure that your ads are good quality, so you have a good CTR. If you have anything below 1, then it needs to be worked. If you have between 1 and 2, that's okay. That's a good starting point. Ideally 1.5 to 2. If you have more than 2, that's perfect. That's amazing. And just make sure that you're looking here at the link click-through rate, not just, for example, the CTR. Options for that is obviously testing different creatives, testing different ads, seeing what's work best for your audience. Well, once you get people from your ads into your next step, is making sure that you're actually converting at a very high rate those clicks. And that can be either having a high converting landing page or using something like lead forms to lower your costs. And that will allow you to basically just make sure that you have very low cost per leads, right? So it's pretty much this. Now, obviously, the next step is going to be taking those leads into clients, and here you're going to be looking at your lead conversion rate, and that's what's going to be allowing you to actually scale more, because if you just get leads but if you actually don't convert them, it's not going to be useful. So you need to make sure that you then have the proper systems in place, you have the proper funnels and the client acquisition system to turn those leads into clients. And here we actually should be doing a better job of improving this conversion rate here on the leads, but it's overall getting us really good returns here at the 12x return on ads. So it's already a pretty good starting point with a very low cost per purchase. But yeah, this is pretty much it. Now, if you need some help, I actually have a library of ads completely for free. I'll include the ad description, the library on the description below. And I have over 300 ads selected in multiple business, multiple industries, from service to info products to e-com, And that will just allow you to have some idea of how to improve your ads so that you can, for example, here work on your CTRs and making sure you have a better returns. Now, if you want to check out the thing is I'll have a video here on how you can actually leverage your organic social to get leads for free. So you can use, for example, chat funnels to get more leads. Here, for example, we have over almost 10,000 leads from the organic social media. So just check that video if that's interesting, and I'll see you on the next one.